Do Pokemon designers have too much control over the meta? That's something I'm going to talk about today. Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon, and here we play Jank. And so, I've been thinking for a little while how every time a set comes out, you can pretty much know exactly what the best deck of that format's going to be. For a while now, it really seems like Pokemon's designers pick and choose which decks are going to be top meta and what cards aren't. And it's fallen into kind of a pattern. Now, it's not replicated 100% of the time, but I do have some stuff I want to show you, right? So, here I am on Limitless TCG. Fantastic website, check it out. And we are looking at the meta game. And what we can do here is actually look at different formats in the past. And I first started noticing this when Battle Styles released. So, Team Up to Battle Styles was the format, and Battle Styles introduced Single Strike and Rapid Strike. With that, also brought the Single Strike Urshifu and the Rapid Strike Urshifu. And there was one of those Urshifus that really stood out above the others, right? It was Rapid Strike Urshifu, to the point where, like, Single Strike Urshifu is not even on here. Rapid Strike Urshifu was the #1 deck as soon as Battle Styles came out. Battle Styles came out, Urshifu Rapid Strike is on the pack art, ETB of it even, and it is the best deck in Battle Styles. Let's go ahead and check out the next format, right? That was the release of Chilling Reign. So Team Up to Chilling Reign. Apply. Shadow Rider Calyrex. Now, I expected to see Ice Rider a little bit higher in this list, but still, I think this is a fantastic point. Shadow Rider Calyrex was #1. Chilling Reign had 2-star Pokemon, being Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex. And obviously, Shadow Rider Calyrex took the win here by hitting weakness against the Urshifu, really put it above the others. I do kinda like seeing Arceus and Dialga and Palkia tag team GX there as well, just because that's older Pokemon still doing well in this format. Now, for some reason, their filter thing skips Evolving Skies. And I do think Evolving Skies didn't have like a star Pokemon for quite a while. Rayquaza was thought to be one of the better ones coming out of that set, but it never really showed up. Umbreon VMAX was a pretty good Pokemon, but being dark, weak to fighting, and Rapid Strike Urshifu still dominating in a sense, really didn't see dominance, you know? So, I will admit, Evolving Skies, I think, was pretty good in allowing some flexibility, but let's see. Then we had Fusion Strike come out, right? And again, it's not on their filter, but it's Fusion Strike. In fact, the Pokemon released in Fusion Strike is still seeing play today in just the standard format. Hopefully this filter works. Here we go. Mew Genesect, #4, still today. That's pretty impressive, right? But again, what else from Fusion Strike really stood out? Not much. We're seeing this pattern of each set dropping and a star Pokemon just being the best Pokemon there is. So we saw Rapid Strike Urshifu, we saw Shadow Rider Calyrex, and now we're seeing Mew Genesect. Again, Evolving Skies being the odd one of the bunch. So let's go ahead and jump into the next format, which would be Sword and Shield to Brilliant Stars. Do you know what was released in Brilliant Stars? That's right, what's #1 in the current standard, apparently. I didn't really think that was possible. But Arceus V-Star. Fantastic Pokemon, right? Look at that Mew just behind it, Rapid Strike Urshifu just behind it. Really, the only thing that happened is Shadow Rider kind of dropped off. We see Ice Rider higher up than Shadow Rider, but we are seeing Arceus V-Star as the #1 Pokemon during the Brilliant Stars format, and by a high margin, too. Holy cow. So let's go ahead and look at the next format. Astral Radiance. This brought us Hisuian Pokemon, right? From the Legends Arceus game, fantastic game if you haven't played it. And one of the things that they did was kind of revamp the Gen 4 Legendaries, right? So, of course, at #1, we are seeing Origin Form Palkia V-Star. By not as much of a, what am I trying to say, percentage, whatever, as Arceus had before, as Arceus is still nipping at its heels, but Palkia V-Star at #1, right? Palkia V-Star on the pack art, you know, is it on the ETB? I can't remember. But yeah, again, it's the new Pokemon. The new hotness is what is the best in that format, right? So let's jump to the next one. And again, third one of the year, just like Evolving Skies, right? Kind of interesting how this also repeats in the fact that Giratina V-Star is #3, the big hotness of Lost Origin, where Palkia remained #1. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. I like seeing that. I like seeing that old archetypes can kind of stay in the format a bit, but I do wish there was a little bit more of a mixture, you know? We do see the Regis coming in, which is pretty awesome as well. Let's jump to the following format. What is that? Silver Tempest, right? Just like basically 2 formats ago. Although our current format basically started today, yesterday, something like that. So it's not very old, but Silver Tempest format, right, brings the legendary Lugia to V-Star. Let's see what's #1. Oh, look at that. Lugia Archeops. Exactly what we expect to see. And wide margins here as well. Almost 40% of the meta share compared to #2 spot, which is Lost Zone Box. Finally getting some recognition here. At 14.20. Not even the higher half. I can't even like justifiably be like, oh, it's 15%. No, like I could with Lugia being 40% at 39.75. Lugia Archeops just dominating, right? So for a while here, we've seen Pokemon kind of just put one card above the others by a high margin as we go through these lists that have come out, you know. And you go back any other format that we've already gone over, and you'll see it's kind of the same things that we expect to see. Mew Genesect is on here. Arceus is on here. Palkia is still top 8. It is #8. But you get what I mean. You know, we see kind of the same Pokemon over and over again because they're still good, but it's still just that one Pokemon. And it's not like you see another archetype from Silver Tempest on this list. It's only Lugia. Out of all of Silver Tempest, it's only Lugia that matters, which is kind of weird, you know? You know, and of course, Lugia had a lot of flexibility. They gave Lugia a lot in Archeops as a support Pokemon, and there were ways to play Lugia that weren't just a standard Lugia list, but no one played those. Those weren't optimized lists. So I guess what I'm kind of saying is, like, I'm noticing this pattern, and it's kind of weird. I feel like the developers of the TCG have such a stranglehold on the meta of Pokemon. It's really just very few things are able to crack into the meta or, you know, into, you know, competition that we end up with just about one Pokemon. Lost Origins, honestly, kind of, with that Lost Zone engine, really opened things up because we see Hisuian Gudra and we see Giratina way down here, not even breaking top 12, you know, but yeah, like, and Lost Box, of course, #2. But very rarely do we have a set being released that just leaves the meta open. Now, if we do close that out and we go to Battle Styles to Scarlet Violet, right? Apply selection. Now we do see Lost Zone box at the top, and it's number 5 where we see a new Pokemon. Now I'm not actually surprised by this. We had rotation, which really mixed things up, especially for the Lugia players. I'm kind of surprised Lugia has been able to hang at number 2. I was thinking it was going to drop a little bit further. Mew Genesect, that deck just is like everything it needs is in the same set, Fusion Strike, so it doesn't really change that much. I know Mew players are going to hate that I said that, but, I feel like it's the same, like, 50 cards. The last 10 are where they change things, Maybe they change up, we're going to play basic Psychic Energy and Fusion Strike Energy. No. We're going to play double Turbo Energy and just rely off that, like, I could go on, but I don't want to offend people. I'm not saying you're bad players, right? I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing coming from the developer side. So number 5 is Gardevoir, and you might think I would be surprised by that. Like, what? The legendary should be on. Miraidon EX was such a good Pokemon. I mean, that's at number 7. But you get what I am saying here, right? Where, like, they pick kind of 1-star Pokemon. And that's the one that becomes meta relevant, becomes good, is good, because they designed the Pokemon to be big, to be good, to kind of push the other decks down. And with Scarlet and Violet, it's a base set. I'm not really expecting much from that set. But I think Evolving Skies and Lost Origins actually brought some new elements to the game, not like in mechanics, but just the fact that, like, yeah, there was a big important Pokemon in Evolving Skies. It was Rayquaza and kind of Umbreon. The evolutions really shined in that set, but at the same time, Umbreon was kind of the only notable one. I know people are going to hate them saying all this. And then with Lost Origins, it was really the engine that stood out, the Lost Zone engine, which I still think is a phenomenal engine, phenomenal cards in that. I kind of wish other engines would be able to compare to that. If you're not building something that can work with the Lost Zone engine, you just can't use it. And so your only other choice really is Barrel Squirvet. It's Barrel Squirvet, or you are doing Lost Zone, or you're playing Mew. Like, I don't know if there's any other engines out there. I guess Gardevoir has its own engine, but, it's still a little awkward to play. But I'm just curious what you guys think of this. Is this an issue? Is this a problem with Pokemon? I would argue yes, because it gets really disheartening to be buying physical cards. And I know as a player, you're not really supposed to be cracking packs, but cracking packs is so much fun, right? So, like, you're not really supposed to crack packs because it's for collectors. And players just need a core set of cards. If you have Professor's Research, you have Professor's Research forever. If you got Level Ball back in the day, you've got Level Ball forever, right? But the way that they push players to crack packs, they push us into this, they usually give us one powerful Pokemon that just rules the meta until the next set releases. I'm assuming it's going to be Chien-Pao, right? That's that ice cat, right? You see it everywhere. It's mixed with the Baxcalibur Pokemon, which I think is a fantastic Pokemon, but like, the deck is basically built for you in Paldea Evolved. You got, that cat guy, Chien-Pao or whatever, Baxcalibur. You've got Superior Energy Retrieval. You've got all this stuff that just makes it work. All in one set. Like, did they not see this coming? Now, there is an element to this that I haven't brought up yet. And that's the fact that the developers are actually developing for the Japanese format. And I don't know what cards were in which Japanese sets, because if you don't know, our sets are made up of basically 2 Japanese sets. Japan gets 2 sets, and they bundle those together, and we get one set. That is those two sets combined, sort of thing. And so I don't know how they're broken up there. Maybe in Japan, it's a little bit more even in what's put where. Like, maybe they put Chien-Pao in one set, and they put Baxcalibur in another set. I would hope that they would put Baxcalibur in the first set, and then Chien-Pao in the second set, so that first set comes out, and then, like, people get creative with it, right? And they build some weird stuff, and then Chien-Pao comes out, and it's like, oh, that's the obvious partner there, right? I don't like obvious partners. Star Wars Destiny had a huge issue with that, where they make one character and you're like, oh man, I can see like some of the weird stuff I can do with that. And then they make another character. It's like, oh, you have to play those two together. Their points equal up correctly. Their abilities work perfectly together. This is the only combination of those characters you can play. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. If you want my Star Wars Destiny tangent, let me know. You know, there's a new Star Wars TCG game coming out. Not digitally, so I'm probably not gonna get too much into it. But, you know, we can talk. Join the Discord. So, I'm wondering, like, I feel like it would be more fun if more things in the set in total were actually competitive. If we were seeing more things being mixed up, not just like a full deck come out of one set, or, you know, 90% of a deck come out of one set. You know, take all the staples, take this new thing that they built, and you basically have a done deck. You know, I'm kind of tired of that. But that might just be a me thing. As someone that plays a lot of Jank, you know, running into the same decks over and over kind of comes to my advantage of the fact that I played against these decks so much, I kind of know what they're going to do before they even know. Not always. Sometimes I guess wrong. But that's kind of the issue that I'm seeing, is that I personally, as a Jank player, would love to see more cards be more impactful in a set, where currently we're seeing just about like one deck come out of each set, with some, you know, some exceptions. Like, I think Miraidon might have been an accident, but Gardevoir definitely isn't. Gardevoir is such a deck of its own. And really, Gardevoir, I think, is kind of the star Pokemon of the set. I don't think Miraidon really... I don't know, there was a lot to support Miraidon, though. I don't know. This latest set, I think I'm going to chalk it up like Evolving Skies and Lost Origins, where... It didn't have that one star deck, right? But you look at Lost Zone Box, and Lost Zone Box is kind of a deck just born of Lost Origins. And I am rambling, kind of saying the same thing over and over. So I just want to wrap this up by saying, do you see this as a problem? Or is it just a me thing? I'm okay if it's just a me thing, but what do you think of these more recent sets? I mean, this is like 2 years of sets I'm talking about, so recent in quotes, I guess. But what do you think of this? Do you think the Pokemon designers are controlling the meta, or do you believe that they aren't seeing this, that they don't see it, you know, they don't see it as a problem, they just see it as like uncreative deck builders, possibly? I don't know. I don't see how anyone could look at this and say, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want from a TCG. We want a 200 card set where you only use about 5% of that set to build your deck, and it's the best deck in the format, right? Let me know down in the comments what you think about this, because I think this is an interesting conversation, and I would love to have it with you. Yeah, all the standard stuff. Go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're watching about 20 minutes of me rambling about some non-issue like this, then you got to be a fan of the channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. That really, really helps me out. And join the Discord if you want to get more in depth with this conversation, or just talk about other things, see what decks I'm playing, and what might be featured on the channel in the future. And of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.